This is Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. Your way of tapping into the Force from a galaxy far, far away. Hello there.
Hello, what have we here? Here's where the fun begins.
Count me in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. Today, we continue our coverage of Season 2 of Rebels. Today, we are discussing our rewatches of Season 2, Episodes 17 and 18. Those are the honorable ones. That one was directed by Brad Rau and written by Kevin Hopps. And 18 is Shroud of Darkness. That was directed by Saul Ruiz and written by Henry Gilroy. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Man, this stretch, this 4-episode stretch we're on is absolutely absurd. Maybe one of the more underrated runs in the entire show. How are you feeling about these two here?
Yeah, they kind of don't relate too harshly together, I feel like. I was trying to find some kind of connection between them, but it was just
tough one here.
A nice just pair nonetheless. You know, you get a nice Zeb, the Zeb and Callus episode finally. We're here in the cave where it all begins, and then the episode 18. I don't know. I thought that I was going to enjoy the Zeb and Callus episode more, but I think I came away enjoying the second episode more here. Just with, I don't know, you kind of got a little check-in with Ahsoka, Ezra, and Kanan, you know, all kind of where their insecurities lie. And I feel like at least that's kind of what the Jedi Temple was trying to teach them, is just all their biggest fears, their biggest insecurities. And I love how I feel like Yoda is kind of just being this, like we say that Vader's one for the dramatic and he plays things up, but I feel like Yoda did some stuff here to kind of do the same thing, but hype himself up. And it was Ahsoka was sitting down kind of describing Yoda to Ezra. Ezra was like, you know, Kanan kind of told me about him, but he didn't really tell me how he was, or he didn't really know him.
Begins to manifest as she is talking.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's a good angle. I could see, that might be a lot better, instead of him just being kind of pretentious, because I guess the timing was just kind of funny, because Ahsoka said a bunch of stuff about him, and then the last line was like, he was just so wise, and then like as if he knew before anyone else that one time was ending and another beginning, and just like kind of put him up on like this massive pedestal. And then at that exact moment, like Ezra appears in front of Yoda in like the world between worlds, and so it kind of, at least initially, it felt like that's fucking right. That's who I am. You know, I needed you to hear that first before you saw me.
I needed you to believe in what I have to say, even though what I'm going to say is vague as fuck. I dug that episode, man. It was definitely one of the more interesting Force-focused episodes, because it is some of that mystical shit. I love that mystical shit when it comes to Rebels. Like, they are doing some weird shit, and I dig it. Like, Kanan facing off with the Grand Inquisitor. At the time, he was a Jedi Temple guard, and the Grand Inquisitor being the one to dub him a Jedi Knight is fucking sick.
Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite scene of the episode, and Kanan's definitely my favorite character. It was just, it was one of those moments that I didn't realize would affect me the way it did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching it and I was like, oh, he starts to knight him, and he's like, you are now a knight of the Jedi Order and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I cared that much.
Poor Kanan going through like so many emotions in this moment right here. Like,
Ready to die.
he's like, oh, what? The Grand Inquisitor was a Jedi Temple guard at one point. You know, he's like, holy shit. And he's like, that's the guy who's knighting me. But then also, holy shit, I'm a Jedi Knight now. Like,
right.
And is this like, I mean, it might be a very rushed, kind of knighting here. But I feel like, is this kind of like the ultimate trial for a Jedi to realize that like they don't have, they must let their Padawan go eventually, and that all they can do is their best training.
I think it's an important lesson for the Jedi to learn, but from my understanding, Jedi trials are different for everybody. when they decide to knight you. Because I mean, and specifically when they decide to knight you, you typically don't have a Padawan, you know? Like, you are a Padawan.
Oh, true.
Which is an important distinction, and why this is a long time coming for Kanan. He's already ascended far beyond what was expected of him and what he's supposed to do, you know? So, like, it is a really, really powerful moment. Like, usually this ceremony involves the lightsaber would cut off his Padawan braid. That's like a symbol of your becoming a knight, is your Padawan braid gets cut off by a lightsaber, and you do with it as you see fit. But yeah, so it was a rushed ceremony indeed, with the temple about to collapse on them and all. But
true.
Yeah, no, it was still a weighty, cool moment, even though it was just like a quick, like, whoa, 20 seconds ago you were not a Jedi and now you are, and it was completely unexpected. That's dope.
Wow, because I guess I was operating that it was kind of like he was becoming a master here, but no, I guess this is just the first step, I guess, here past Padawan. But no, it felt like he was becoming a master. In, I don't know, whenever I didn't even, wow, I guess, but does he actually get the rank of master ever?
I don't think anyone can do that for him, because Master was always just decided by the council, as it were. I mean, so was Jedi Knight, you know, typically, but, you know, it was like their master, the master of the Padawan typically assesses when they're ready, and they undergo the trials and stuff, and then so on and so forth. But this is why it's cool that it's like the weird mystic force shit that actually gets him there. Like that makes perfect sense for this show and for this character, and I think that's really dope. But I think for Kanan, you saying you feel like he's basically ascending to the role of master, that is essentially what's happening. You know, like I said, he already has a Padawan, which is not typical of a Padawan who has not been ascended to the rank of Jedi Knight. So, like, him getting ranked up, he is officially a rank above Ezra, and I think it's like you are his master, and now you're a master in the Force a little bit, you know. But I do think symbolically there is a point in the latter seasons whenever you can feel a shift in Kanan. And I'm excited to get there, because he's already a great Jedi, you know? But the way that he engages with the Force and his steadfastness in the wake of his blindness, whenever that is really when he becomes a master of the Force. So, like, you'll be able to tell. We'll probably be able to point to it and go, like the Bendu, I think, might as well be what declares him a Jedi Master, you know? But I don't think he literally does, but he might as well be, you know? But yeah, no, that was my favorite scene. Kanan was absolutely my favorite character of that episode. It was just such a fascinating, cool, weirdly laid back episode. Obviously, Kanan's fighting a Grand Inquisitor, but you also know it's a vision, so it's like, how real is this? Da, 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 you know. And apparently it's pretty real. It's manifesting itself quite legitimately, because the Inquisitors also have to fight him. Shit's weird, man. I don't get it, but it's fine.
Is this truly just Kanan in his own head, you know? And well, you know, like Yoda's really talking to Ezra. This is really the Grand Inquisitor.
The one that might just be in someone's head and is not a manifestation of someone in the Force is Anakin. That is Ahsoka's fears manifest.
Oh no. If it is, that's even kind of sadder, that Vader is actually like detecting her here and saying like, yeah, look at what I've become. Like, holy, either way, it's it's either become. That's either really sad for Ahsoka that it's just it's probably likely her just manifesting it.
Right. Well, we talked recently whenever she senses him for the first time, and we were like, no, she knows, you know, and then like later on she's been like, I don't know what happened to him, and we're like, that's denial, you know, like, so I think that this is kind of her subconscious being like, you can't deny it, you know, like, you know what happened to him, you felt him, you know who that is. And we got the image of Anakin also doing the lightsaber training, in the hologram, and Ezra being like, he's really good. I actually use these to help with my lightsaber training and stuff. Like that's sick. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, at least there is still some good parts of Anakin. I guess that's nice at least it can train Ezra in the. I completely forgot about this. I didn't know, but it's kind of cool that I don't know, Ahsoka and Ezra kind of have Anakin as a master in some way. Ezra very, very slight.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's cool that these Jedi can teach long after they're not them anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like these holocrons and these holograms and stuff. Like that's really, really cool. But yeah, no, I loved these two, and I thought that it was cool to see Matt Lanter's return, the voice actor for Anakin. Obviously, he was the voice actor in Clone Wars. These episodes came out in 2016, so it'd been a few years for him since he'd stepped into those boots, which is very, very cool. And because he's a really, really good voice for Anakin, man. I think I've always appreciated his voice. It's really stand out. And it's like a weirdly good blend between what you'd think Hayden Christensen would sound like and someone who's a little less intense than the live action Anakin. Like he does sound more fun, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Yeah, that little moment with Anakin and Ahsoka was almost enough. I have either Kanan or Ahsoka here for character, and I think Kanan's journey was just a little bit better here on the episode. Just the initial fight where when he doesn't even have the red saber yet, it felt that the Inquisitor was just kind of like trying to get at his anger and get him to fight with anger.
Right.
And then, he kind of does. He's like, yeah, you'll never be good enough. You'll never be enough to protect Ezra and blah, blah, blah. That kid's going to die.
The dark side calls to him, and yeah.
And then he pulls up a literal red saber. I feel like it's now they're...
Yeah, he's got the blue saber and the red saber, and he's got to decide,
Yeah, they're visually showing it now, and I don't know, it was just a lot going on. The only gripe, I don't know, this dojo, or this little training room, it felt like they just didn't finish it animation-wise. If... I don't know why, but if you... the lines and stuff, they're uber pixelated. If you just look behind Kanan, they do not really match whatsoever. It was just really weird.
And there's something they do with this fight scene that I have not really noticed in any other. I notice it whenever lightsabers are getting spun. That when the frame rate changes.
Yeah.
That happens during this fight multiple times, and not when it's just sabers swinging. It's the dude, it's them fighting. So that part was a little odd. It was a little off, and I wonder what the purpose is for that.
I guess we're in a vision, and it's not. I don't. Maybe that's just a cope. Kind of or thing to say there is that it's not really real, so it doesn't have to look real. But we're also in animation, I guess, But it kind of did, the Jedi logo that was just up on the wall. It literally looked like they just copied and pasted a PNG or just like a JPEG and just drug it in there. And I don't know. It was just the only part of the episode that was man, just looking at the people, the Inquisitor and the guards and Kanan, they look like they normally do, fully polished,
right,
and just, I don't know, in the finished Rebels form. But then the temple was just, I don't know, it literally looked like it was, some of it was drawn in Microsoft Paint. It was, and I don't know, it was just kind of jarring for the show. It was the first time I ever noticed anything kind of like that.
That you felt negatively about in the animation. Yeah, that is a rarity here. But yeah, no, that was a great sequence. Despite that issue, Ahsoka's scene with Anakin was very close to being my scene until Kanan got dubbed a Jedi Knight. I'd forgotten that happened here. Just that whole my shot actually does come from there. Whenever, do you know what I've become? And then it's Vader standing over her shoulder and half her face. A shot that mirrors whenever she actually learns it's Anakin, the Ahsoka, and she's on half the screen and gasps and stuff. That's a great visual call to this moment. But that was beautiful. I mean, and then Ashley Eckstein, she lets out this scream in this episode that I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That one line alone. Yeah, it was like she had to, reach to some. That was an insane
scream.
Like,
we were talking recently, I can't remember I think it was in this series we were talking about very early on, how difficult that is. Like reacting in true fear and reacting in true anger and not actually feeling that way and just portraying with your voice. You don't have the benefit of people seeing your face and your body language. Like you are just letting that on with your voice. And I think I brought up a movie called Blowout, directed by Brian De Palma. It's got John Travolta, and he's a sound guy working on a movie where they need a scream, and they cannot find the person to do the scream. Like that is it's not believable. None of them sound real. This was real as fuck. I was like, damn, that's good. That was some good shit. So like, as soon as I heard it, it wasn't just because it was a big, loud reaction. It's because I've literally seen how fucking difficult that is to do. And I had no choice. I had to go with it.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know what she thought of in her mind to get her there, or if that is just pure talent. I don't know. Maybe she's just gotten voice acting down that much, but I feel like that's not
long history of doing it. But it is something that I think has probably been refined over the years. I have to imagine.
I feel like that's just like a human thing, though. That's impossible to like just have anger come out of nowhere. Like it's
right.
I don't know. It was impressive, nonetheless. But I feel like I wanted to spread the love, so I think I kind of did the opposite of you. I went with Ahsoka for character, even though I think Kanan probably deserves it here. But I'll give Freddie Prinze the performance nod to spread the love a little bit, because I think he is just kind of normal, just kind of Fred from Scooby-Doo, and that it kind of just comes through as his normal voice. But I feel like here he actually had to do some stuff, and he actually was reaching a little bit more, and actually was, I don't know, playing the character of Kanan more, which I liked. So, and yeah, even though I did have, I feel like I talked about the Microsoft Paint thing or the Jedi, like the dojo a little too much. It wasn't like it took me out of the scene. It was still probably the best scene of the episode by far. So it's like, it's a very small gripe. But I did like everything that was going on there. Like it was kind of intercut with Ahsoka and Ezra, like Ezra slowly talking to Yoda, and then we'd cut back to Kanan having some more fights, and then I don't know, Yoda I guess is just chilling on Dagobah, and just
meditating on shit.
I mean, he felt like he knew this was coming, though. Like, I don't know. Like, homie was sitting.
I mean, he's got an incomprehensible connection to the Force, bro. Like, he's got something going on that we just cannot understand logically.
And while he's on Dagobah, that's all he's doing, I guess. That is like, he's not
communing.
Yeah, he's not Luke, kind of disconnecting himself, and Obi-Wan, disconnect. He's still tapped in, and I feel like, yeah, maybe Dagobah is just like an ultra amplifier for Yoda. I don't know. It just, all that life around him just gives him just a mega boost to connect to everyone. And
the launching off point of this episode, I think, was a really, really strong one. The whole idea that Kanan's worried they're endangering the rebellion because the Inquisitors find them everywhere they are, and they only want them. They don't want the other rebels. So, like, why should we? We need to do the hunting, as he says, which is kind of fucking dope. But my favorite line comes when they leave, the three of them, and Sabine's like, "Do you know where they're going?" And Hera says, "Sometimes it's best not to know." I think that's just a really, really good way to, like, we are really familiar with the Jedi. At this point, we've watched a lot more of the Jedi than Hera and Sabine and Zeb and all of them, like beyond Rebels, just like all this other stuff. So we know that this situation that they're into, I mean, it's a serious one, but we know they're probably going to be fine. and we also get the benefit of it's season 2, episode 18 or whatever. Like, there's a lot more show to go, but like, I love the way they ground these moments with real fear and real love for the people they love. Sometimes it's best not to know. Like, otherwise, I'd worry my fucking ass off, and like all that stuff. Like, that's good stuff. So I appreciated that, and that's why I went with that line.
Yeah, it's I kind of, I don't know, feel more bad for the crew because like I didn't know that these Inquisitors were this much of a problem. It's like everywhere they go, they're just facing off. Like that's how the episode opens. They're just already fighting with them, and I guess it's
fighting.
I think this is this the base that Ezra accidentally like dropped the name of to.
No, that was a couple. They actually escaped that a couple episodes ago.
This is another one. This
is them looking for a base. They're looking for a base,
okay.
and they went to this place, and it wasn't. It was already found, essentially.
Okay. Not doing the base hunt not doing too hot, but yeah, the Inquisitors. I mean, they're just everywhere they go. Like, do they just sense them because like every time they use the Force, they can just sense that? Is that all they're doing? Like,
I think they have to be seeking them out actively. And the way that they explained it a couple episodes ago was like whenever the power went out or the power flared on at that medical station, and they were like, "There's been a power flare up. Like, should we go check it out?" Callus is like, "No," and then the fifth brother is like, "No, I feel them. That is correct. That is the place." So like there is a little bit of a collaborative thing going on there. Like maybe it's like they're reaching out to places like for possible bases and like that sort of thing. I don't know specifically how it works, of course, but yeah, no, it again, there's some mystical quality to it, and they're there. They're always there. They're always over their shoulder. But
the beginnings of this episode, I feel like I kind of forgot about them, but like because there was a fight between the Inquisitors there, and then the beginning of the Zeb episode, they're talking about something being assembled outside of Geonosis on orbit that is bigger than anything that they've ever thought or seen before. And, it turns out just to be a Callus trap, but, like, is this, like, the Death Star, right? Is this the literal beginning of the Death Star, or is this truly just I don't know, because it seems that Callus was just like, oh, very intuitive of you. This is my trap that I set up just to get you, I did it all perfectly, but, like, is it, I don't know.
They're definitely alluding to the Death Star, and we actually return to Geonosis later, and get express reference of the Death Star by one of the Geonosians.
Is the little draw in the sand? Is that
yes?
here?
Yes, draws a circle within a circle and stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I thought that was Clone Wars for some reason.
No, that's this. Yeah, that's this,
yeah.
We actually get a mention of Saw Gerrera in that episode, who is also there during that episode whenever that happens. So it's like a weird little connective tissue.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, it was this very if this is the very early workings of the Death Star, I don't know if this is where you set up a trap for the main kind of rebel squadron at the time to find out, but I mean maybe that's Callus's
Well, the
idea.
Geonosians are already gone.
True.
I imagine the Death Star is already gone as well. I think that's been long in production, not the beginning of the production. Like we're nearly done, not just beginning. So it's probably been moved, is my guess.
So this
and the Death Star is probably secret enough that even Callus wouldn't know about that. He was just setting up a fucking trap, I don't know. He is an ISB agent. I don't know how in the know they are in regards to that. But
yeah, I wonder how far down the line the Death Star does go.
It feels like a pretty need to know sort of situation.
I mean, they're having all the prisoners build all the parts and stuff. It's not like they're just getting their normal workforce to go build it. I feel like
that's true. That's true.
And
they're having droids put it together according to Andor.
Man, okay. Yeah, so this is just kind of like the leftover kind of parts to
signature. Yeah.
Wow. That's what that is eerie. That's just kind of eerie. But man,
planet destroying weapon was just here recently. Now it's gone. Yeah, no, that's
just using a literal like scaffolding. It's the scaffolding of a project, and it's big enough to host a ship, and trap. So I don't know everyone in there. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know, haven't given the Zeb and Callus episode enough love though.
Not by any stretch.
Yeah, this
is a classic.
Yeah,
this is a classic right here.
This is one of the best ones. I don't know. I feel like I said I enjoyed the second episode more. I think there was just more Jedi and mystical shit going on. But when it feels to like tugging the good strings, the good heartstrings, and the Rebels feel, this one's good. I don't know. This is
good. Well, and it also, when it comes to the second episode, we've talked recently about how the Force-focused episodes haven't been as strong for us lately as the Rebel-focused episodes. Mm-hmm. So this was just a breath of fresh air where we were like actually excited about some of the Force-focused stuff. This was just par for the course with the Rebel stuff. This is just good, it's just good stuff, and I really really appreciate that. This is the main source of the Calazeb. The ship, falling asleep next to each other and climbing on each other's backs and stuff. Yeah. You gotta stay warm. I don't know, man. I don't know. I know for a fact. I mean,
Zeb would be a pretty warm cuddle buddy. I don't know.
Be a
that's
pretty warm companion there.
As far as the Lasats are very few and far in between, but Callus really lucked out here. I feel like with
he did.
With who he could have been stranded out here with, and I like the ship name. I thought of Zalus or Zealous. I don't know. Even going. They got Calazeb. Yeah. This is Aurelios. Does Callus even have a last name?
I don't think we ever get a Callus last name.
Yeah, just Callus. But okay, yeah, no, this. Oh man, yeah, I forgot. I'm just looking him up. His like later look that he get with a little longer hair.
Oh god damn! Yeah. No, later on he's fine as fuck. It's ludicrous. There is one man who can play him in live action, and it's Glenn Powell. Whenever they want to make that happen.
Oh my god, that'd be so perfect. Yeah, that'd be too good. Man, the Empire
give him
really
Give him the big ass chops and the dangling bang that comes over his face. It's a wrap.
Man, yeah, I don't know. He really needed to leave the Empire and just instantly leveled up. The Empire.
You're instantly much more attractive the second you become a rebel. That's just a guarantee.
That is. That's a good. I think an untapped market for their recruitment process. I think they should show the before and after pictures of previous Empire people. Is there another example other than Callus?
We've probably got some defectors. I'm trying to. I mean, Crosshair.
Yeah, okay, true.
Yeah, Crosshair. Let's see. Not many others that I can recall off the top of my head.
The Empire. Is there anyone in
Like, was there anybody? That's what I was trying to think of. I don't think so. I think that they.
I guess Sabine, wasn't she in some? No,
she was in the Imperial Academy. Yeah. She never became an Imperial. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Callus might be the one. Yeah, I mean,
Callus might be the one. He might be the prime example.
Yeah.
He's just that guy. But yeah, no, I mean, I really, really like Callus, and this episode really gives us a little bit more reason to. And one of my favorite lines of this episode, and probably my favorite line of this episode, is that whenever Zeb's like, us, Lasat, we're not, you can't treat us all the same, and da-da-da-da-da, or assume we're all the same, and Callus goes, does that sentiment apply to Imperials? No! No! What? It's not your fucking race, dipshit. No, it doesn't apply to Imperials. But what I do appreciate in that line is if we are to trust that we are supposed to think, does that same sentiment apply to Imperials? You know, maybe it should, da-da-da-da-da. Well, the reason it applies to Callus is because at heart he's not an Imperial. He becomes a fucking rebel. You know, like that's the good shit. You know, I appreciate that you can tell they're backtracking a little bit, but they do it in a really natural way. The whole like, I know I took credit for this. It wasn't me, you know, da-da-da-da-da. I was just following orders, essentially. They wanted to make an example. That scene when they're about to hit the hay that night is probably my favorite. And then waking up next to each other and stuff. Like, that whole sequence was just really, really strong, really well written, really well animated. And it's a good episode, man. I really, really enjoy that one.
Yeah, the last shot of Callus in his room and like that warm little whatever thing, I don't know, that he brought home. That's the only thing in his room that is like different. I don't know.
Personal.
Different. Yeah. The only personal item that he has. And that's like, I feel like he's, I don't know, this is the start of him realizing that, I think.
Well, and he watches Zeb run to his family, and they're all like, Zeb, gosh, we were so worried. Oh, buddy, come on, let's go. And then he gets back and he's like, sir, and he's like, hi.
Oh,
like that's all.
Why he asked. Oh no, I was wondering why I thought he was. Oh man, yeah, it was just kind of like a cry for help, kind of, or like just
like
please notice
talk to me.
Yeah,
were you worried that I was missing, about to die? You know, it's
oh man,
it's a big turning point, and it's, you know, we have our inside man after this. I don't know officially when he picks up the Fulcrum mantle. Obviously, we've still got Ahsoka around and stuff for the next couple episodes anyway. So I'm guessing it's just season 3, but you can tell those loyalties are shifting already. It's starting, and I love the last little bow they do to each other. You know, my favorite performance is definitely David Oyelowo. The fantastic actor who every time that I remember he voiced Callus, it blows my fucking mind. Like, this dude's in movies and stuff. It's kind of bizarre that he's a voice actor for Agent Callus in Star Wars Rebels.
I think, am I remembering him? I don't know. I feel like I might be mixing two people up, but I feel like he was in Lost for some reason a long time ago. No, doesn't seem like it. Different person. But why do I remember him? He looks so familiar. I had Interstellar. Oh my God. Oh, he's the principal in Interstellar. Yes. What? He's the guy that Matthew McConaughey tells that it takes 2 numbers to measure his own ass or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's incredible. I'm like, man, this guy. I looked him up. He looked way too familiar. Okay, there it is.
He was in a movie a couple years ago called "See How They Run." That's a really fun whodunit type movie based on an Agatha Christie novel. That's a good fucking movie.
Man,
Adrian Brody and Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan.
Wow, just voicing Callus here. Just
voicing Callus, which is very, very cool. I love that. And he does a fantastic job. I've been waiting for a reason to pick him for my performance, and this was the one. I was finally able to do it, because there's a vulnerability he gets to start to let through, which is cool. He softens, and you can hear him soften. Like, one of the examples that I love to go with in this episode is whenever Zeb is like, and Zeb, by the way, my name. It was short for Gary Zeb Aurelius. I know. Aww. You know, kind of just like, it's sweet, man. Like, I dug it. Like, it's not sweet, he's softening. Like, he is, you know, like, we are, like, I know more about you than you think, and I've had every opportunity to kill you, and I won't do it, and all this stuff. Like, it's just it's a cool character, and I think he does a fantastic job voicing him. Yeah. But the favorite character does have to be Zeb.
Yeah.
He sways an Imperial to their side, man. Like, that's fucking awesome. That's the dream. I do have it
flipped here, like the other episode, just to spread love. But I don't know. Maybe this one is actually, I can't really flip it. I just wanted to give Steve Bloom the other half of the performance,
but so good.
But I think I don't know, Callus, like this, as performances go, like it is like different over time. Well, I feel like Zeb is, he's still doing a good job, but it is still just kind of Zeb's been Zeb.
It's similar to, and I've always appreciated Steve Bloom's performance as Zeb because he manages to let a lot more emotion through than you'd think is possible doing that voice. Like, if there was any one complaint I had about D. Bradley Baker in The Bad Batch, it's that Wrecker doesn't sound different ever. And like, you can tell when he's trying to sound different, but the voice is so strong and so that even when he sounds sad, it still doesn't sound that sad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more animation that gets you there than it is voice. That's something that I've always really appreciated about Steve Bloom, is that, like, he can make Zeb sound down. He can make Zeb sound up. Like, you can feel what Zeb is feeling based off the voice. So, anytime you want to go with Steve Bloom, I don't have any issue with that. I just knew that this was the first time I felt like I could go with Callus, and I've been wanting to.
Yeah, and it's just going with Callus as a character. I guess the character nod was more of the pause that I had, because it's like he still actually maybe thought about killing Zeb a couple times in this episode, and even at the very top, I don't know if this was just his way of how initially Zeb was like pointing the gun at him, saying how easily I could kill you, but I'm not going to, and this is Callus's way,
payback,
kind of like showing the same thing, and.
But extending the same courtesy, like, you've done this for me, maybe I should do the same for you, like, I think that there's a cool, just understanding they reach that, works because it's a children's show, Yeah, I mean, episodes like this don't happen in Andor, I'll tell you that much. Cassian is fucking shooting a motherfucker instantly.
Callus is sort of responsible for wiping out all of the Lasats.
That's why I'm like, it's a little. There are points where I'm like, you're getting away with a lot because it's a children's show. But whenever Zeb's like, "What happened on Lasan? It was a long time ago. It's behind me." What?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
The genocide of your people. I don't know. That was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know that I can fully understand that. But
and I guess it's a somewhat good angle to be like, well, you can't blame the individual, you have to blame the Empire,
the collective.
But I mean,
well, and I agree with that. I mean, like, you can blame the individual to an extent, but he just admitted that it wasn't really him. He just admitted that it wasn't actually his choice. And we can argue that all day long. Ethically, I still think there's blame to be passed. Or we were just following orders. Oh, where have I heard that? Like that sort of thing. But like, to go, what happened to my people on Lasan? That's behind me. Like, I don't know, dog. Like, I don't think that's something you should ever let go of, personally.
No,
but
no, not at all. I think maybe Zeb's just too nice. He's just going ultimate recruit mode and getting Callus into the rebellion now, just through pure just Zebness. I don't know. It's like, holy shit, this dude can have his people wiped out by me and still want to save me, like, and keep going.
Zeb's a fucking good dude, man. He is, and this episode, I love when we get to, it's a Zebisode. I love when we lock in on Zeb.
Yeah.
Because anytime he gets the spotlight, he probably has my favorite spotlight episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause Sabine gets hers, Hera gets hers, and Hera's I feel like are more few and far in between. And then obviously the whole show is basically about Ezra and Kanan. But whenever we lock in on Zeb, it's always a pleasant surprise because he just doesn't get a chance to shine individually in the group. Like Hera, for example, who does have individual episodes, but even in the context of the group as the leader, she gets to be on display. And I feel like Zeb's always just kind of like, yes, ma'am, like, of course. And he's having fun and he's being funny and it's cute. But episodes like this really get you to care about Zeb. And It's a goodie. So, yeah, it's a good pair here, the Honorable Ones and Shroud of Darkness. I'm very, very happy with this, and we're on a run. Right now, I know we've got Thrawn coming up in the next couple seasons, and I will eat my words, but right now it's Season 2, Season 1 as far as rankings go, and I'd be surprised if anything can top Season 2 for me.
Wow.
Like, I love Season 2. I'm a big fan of early Rebels, and I think that the later seasons are also really, really strong. I mean, Season 4 is kind of fucking ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous in a good way.
Like I'm
we'll
not
see.
ready.
We'll see.
I'm not ready for the cries that are coming, like that are I don't know, on the
Season
horizon.
4 gives them to you, man. They do. It's big. It's a big one.
But
Jedi
no,
Knight, baby.
You are right. No, you are right about Season 2. I mean, the show is only getting better over time, and I feel it's not slowing down. I don't know. It has not shown signs of slowing down. So
no, not one bit.
Quite the run that we are on, and I guess only 2 more weeks for the rest of the season here, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
for us.
man, we're almost done. We're almost done. Yeah, and then it'll be Skeleton Crew time for a little break in between seasons 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We got Skeleton Crew coming up. Cannot wait for that. It'll be nice to return to this show when we get the chance. But yeah, man, I think with that we can conclude this section of the pod, and we can move to trivia time. Do you got one for me today?
I do. So, when Anakin makes his appearance here, the good Anakin, not when Ahsoka's freaking out, back in lightsaber training mode, he mentions that, well, yeah, I'll give it to you. He says, in Form 4, I'm training, here's some moves for Form 4, and then shows, demonstrates, whatever. I guess the question is, part 1, the real part of the question, is how many Jedi lightsaber forms of combat are there? And then any bonus points if you can name any of those forms. I feel like that. That is probably.
I don't think I'm going to be able to name them.
I feel like that is the part that is over. I didn't even know the names existed until I got to the wiki.
Yeah, I know that names exist, and what sucks is the one that I think the book I've seen them more with is Path of Destruction, which is a Sith book. So that's why I'm like, I don't even know if this is something I could even go to. But
well, at least in the Jedi forms, it is just a number. It is a straight. They have a 1, 2, 3 up until their number.
This number,
and then past that is actually like forbidden forms of combat. They don't. I guess I don't know. Maybe this is not always. Maybe like in the Jedi that we're currently with. I don't know. Maybe this was back at a certain time period, but. Oh no, this mentions Mace Windu here on this one here. So I guess it is up to the times that we know. But the number is the main question here. How many forms of combat are there?
All right, I'm going to go with a classic Star Wars number. It feels right. I feel like I've heard this. I think Kanan might even say it later on. 7.
It is the Star Wars number. That is why I feel like I had a trivia question earlier. How many books were on?
I went with 7.
And went with this Star
just
Wars
off.
number, and it wasn't. But yes, so I went with a Star Wars number one this time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
7.
it's 7 forms of. And I was confident in this one. It wasn't just because it was the Star Wars number. This was the one I felt a little bit more. Yeah. Like, I just threw 7 out because it was the Star Wars number for the book question. I feel like I've heard 7 forms of lightsaber combat before, but all right, kick ass.
Technically, if you want to throw in one more, there's Jar Kai, which is all the forms but with 2 sabers instead of 1 or whatever. So there's all that. But yeah, the names,
so I don't
even want to really try to pronounce the names of them. I feel like I'm just going to butcher them completely. I feel like they're actual, I don't know, they could just be completely made up Star Wars combat, but they kind of look like legitimate, I don't know what to call them, but just like forms of combat in real life. It kind of looks
Let me look it up.
No, maybe these look, just Star Wars made up. That's crazy. That they can just make stuff up that actually kind of looks a little real. But like,
right.
Form 1, Shi Shi Chu, Form 2 Makashi. So yeah, I feel like I'm doing an injustice.
Right.
Two.
No, but yeah, everybody go look into that. There are 7 forms of lightsaber combat. Cool. Yeah. All right. My question. It's a simple one, straightforward. It's about movies. You get to pick the movie this week.
Okay.
Which Star Wars film has the longest runtime?
Oh. Ooh, the longest runtime. Okay. Oh man, I've never thought about this ever. I feel like my gut was an OT movie. I don't know why. Okay, no way it's Rogue One or Solo, right? No way. I feel like it's an OT, and if it's an... Ooh! The prequels he might have cooked for a little bit. I don't know. Fuck. Oh, this is kind of tough. Usually I have like a process of elimination. I can get rid of some trilogies pretty quickly. This one is... Like, I could see it kind of being any one of them. The sequel trilogy, for some reason, is the least likely to me. I'm going to go with my gut, which is the original trilogy. And the longest one, I feel like you only get away with it at the very end. But is Jedi the longest one? Fuck. Or if it's just the best one, Empire, you get away with the longest run. Okay, I feel like those are the two in between, is Empire or Jedi. And my gut was Jedi, so I feel like that's what I'm going to go with. I'll go with Return of the Jedi.
All right, that is not the longest Star Wars movie. It is the longest of the original trilogy at 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Okay.
The Star Wars is 2 hours and Empire is 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Okay.
So it is actually on average the shortest runtime.
Wow, really? The original trilogy's...
The original trilogy is the shortest. The Phantom Menace is 2 hours and 16. Let's see. Attack of the Clones is 2 hours and 22. So that's already ascended past Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith is 2 hours and 20.
Damn.
So the longest of the prequel trilogy is Attack of the Clones. Then Rogue One and Solo, you were correct about, do not stack up in terms of runtime. Force Awakens is 2 hours 18. The Rise of Skywalker is 2 hours 21.
Oh.
And The Last Jedi is the longest Star Wars movie at 2 hours and 32 minutes.
Wow. Holy shit. So, for some reason, I said the sequels are the least likely, and they ended up being...
They're actually, on average, the longest.
The chonkers. I guess... Wow. Maybe those movies just feel quick to me. I don't know why, but, like, every time I watch the original, or, like, just the prequel or the original trilogy, I feel like maybe they don't drag on for longer.
I think it's an evolution in blockbuster filmmaking is kind of how I look at it. Like, they want to not keep your attention, but it's flashier and it's snappier, I feel like, than A New Hope or Return of the Jedi. Like, storylines feel like they unfold more fully, I guess, in the original trilogy, and therefore it feels a little longer, but in a good way, you know.
Yeah, I do like I don't know. It feels better. It feels like the slower. There's moments where you get to sit down and kind of
you breathe with the story. You don't just go blitzing from one thing to the other because. Like Rise of Skywalker is one of the fastest movies I've ever watched, and it's because nothing ever slows down. Nothing ever stops.
For 2 hours and 30 minutes straight. Wow.
Yeah, for The Last Jedi there. Yeah.
Man, I was completely flip-flopped there. But that's, okay. Good to, I don't know, always good to learn. Now I'll never forget.
Indeed.
But okay, there we are.
But yeah, so with that, we can conclude this episode of Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. And if you are listening here, you ought to be downloading. You ought to be rating and reviewing. You ought to be subscribing. Wherever you can, I'd appreciate it greatly. You need to follow on Twitter at the Fulcrum Pod, and more specifically at Penny Bloom Pod. That is where we branch from. and everything gets branched from there. It's a whole lot of fun. We are back on TikTok at Penny Bloom Dispatch. I've been posting a lot more over there. It's a lot of fun. You need to be there. We have a great time. We're going to be covering Rebels for the next couple weeks. Like I said, we're going to get to Skeleton Crew later on. We're currently doing The Cinementalists, and we are in the midst of covering Indiana Jones, I believe. Yes.
Crazy piece of trivia tie-in here that I saw on IMDb. The end of a Shroud of Darkness. Ahsoka turns back to see Yoda, and the way it is done and the way Yoda acknowledges her is identical to the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when Henry Jones is leaving the temple and sees the temple guardian. So we're not quite at the Last Crusade. That's next week.
Yeah, this week's Temple of Doom.
Yeah, so not quite there, but almost. That would have been a really, really cool lineup that we didn't even mean to do.
That would have been sick. That would have been sick. But we actually did conclude our first season of coverage on Death by Television this past Monday. The Penguin came to an end, and you need to be there to check it out because we fucking loved that show. And if you are going to watch it, if you haven't watched it, you should watch one episode, listen to us talk about it. Watch another episode, listen to us talk about it, so on and so forth, because we have a great time discussing The Penguin. That is one of my favorite shows on TV, if not my favorite show on TV at the moment. But yeah, Indiana Jones on Fridays for the Sentimentalists. We're doing the Penny Bloom Dispatch still. We've got a live commentary coming up on the Penny Bloom podcast here in a couple weeks, celebrating the end of The Penguin. Our annual Thanksgiving live commentary, which has typically been Star Wars movies. We are reserving those for the Sentimentalists now, and we're going to branch out for the first time into The Batman. It will be far and away our longest live commentary ever. It might be a little bit of a chore, but I'm very, very excited to try it. So yeah, we got that a couple weeks away. We got a lot going on, and I'm so very excited, and you need to be there for all of it. But with that, we will conclude this episode of Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, for light and life.